Good morning. Erin Koss here from Site Consulting Group. Hey, this morning I want to talk a little bit about how to have empathy and compassionate work without losing our edge as a leader or someone in a leadership position. We've heard the term emotional intelligence for a number of years now, and I think the phrase itself doesn't elicit a lot of discomfort. But when we realize that what we're talking about is being empathic and compassionate in the workplace, it can make us a little bit uncomfortable, right? We think that maybe that's something we reserve for at home with the people we love and care about in that context, and bringing that to work can feel a little wonky to us at times. So what I want to talk about today is like why would we want to bring that to work? Why is that important? I want to talk about three different types of empathy and maybe a way to approach it in a balanced way that really meets our objectives and is a win-win for us as well as the people we're trying to serve in the workplace. And so starting off with this idea of why does empathy matter in the workplace? I think for a number of reasons. I think for starters, when we can show empathy to someone who comes to us with a concern or a problem, it helps us to connect and build relationships in the workplace. When we do this, we establish a trusted partnership with the people that work with us and for us in the workplace in a way that leads to greater productivity, innovation, and creativity. And so it's such a win-win for both sides, both us as the leader as well as our employees. And the other thing I think of in this context as well is, employees who feel connection to their employer or the place that they work. You see a lot more energy and a lot more engagement from them. Again, leading to all those other things: innovation, productivity, creativity that we're looking for in our organization. So, empathy is one of those tools, and compassion is another tool that when we bring that to work, it is such a win-win. And let's be honest, when we really do connect with another human being in that way, it feels really great too. So that's kind of the why, right? That's what we're trying to accomplish. The next thing I want to just share with you is three different types of empathy. So another way to think about empathy maybe that is a little less scary, a little less uncomfortable maybe. Traditionally, one way to think about it is this thing we call cognitive empathy, which is where we can feel what somebody else is feeling, like intellectually, but there's not a lot of emotion to it. So if someone comes to you and says, I'm really having a problem with this person that I work with on my team, and they're looking for your guidance and support, and you can understand what they're saying, but you're not really connecting on an emotional level. That may not be very helpful, right? It's not super helpful necessarily. The other extreme is this thing we call emotional empathy. That can be the place where, especially for those that are highly sensitive, where someone who exhibits emotional empathy might actually take on so much of the feeling and emotions that the person is bringing to the table. And if they're particularly emotional when they're coming to you, this can just spiral and escalate, right? It spirals and just escalates in a way that it could be overwhelming for you, and it could also be overwhelming for the person who's looking for your guidance and support. So it's kind of this other extreme, kind of too emotional versus cognitive, which is kind of too heady, if you will. So this place in the middle that I like to see people land in the leadership role is some place we call compassionate empathy. And this is super cool because I think it plays to our sweet spot as a leader, as well as serves the objective of really being loving and kind and connecting with our employees and the people that are coming to us for guidance and help. So compassion empathy is in the middle where I can understand what someone is bringing to me. I can relate. It resonates for me. But I can also I can hear them and I can see them. I can sit with them. I can be with them in what they're sharing with me. This is also a place where, for those of us in a leadership role, sometimes it can be a little tricky because compassion empathy is really about being with, listening, and hearing and seeing. It's not necessarily about doing a whole lot of talking in that moment. So compassion empathy, listening, seeing, hearing, being with. But then we get in our sweet spot. We have this opportunity to support, advocate, and be helpful, move roadblocks. So someone comes to you and says, gosh, I'm having a really hard time working with this person on my team. As we listen and we hear, we can relate to the problem because we've probably had it before ourselves. We can feel into it maybe a little bit. We can mirror back to them maybe how they might be feeling and help them feel seen and heard. And then we can work with them to really be an advocate in our role as a leader for these individuals to help them solve the problem. So again, cognitive empathy, this area is a little heady, right? Doesn't quite connect with people like we're looking for. Emotional empathy on the other extreme, too much, too many tears, too much emotion, too much of everything, right? Could just kind of overwhelm the situation. This place in the middle, compassionate empathy, which is really our objective as leaders. If we are looking to serve and care for our employees and our staff in a way that really leads to the productivity and innovation and creativity that we want in an organization, not to mention, energized and engaged employees. So I encourage you, think about compassionate empathy and how you might show up in a way that would lead your employees to come to you for your advocacy when they need it. Have a great day.